Coach O'Brien here. If you would mind listing your primary strengths and your potential problems. Coach O'Brien?
Well, as I said, we have some returning people that are very important. Certainly when you have a quarterback to come back and perform the way that Russell did the end of last year, and certainly now with someone of Mike Lennon's caliber to push him and to make him a better quarterback and provide depth. And the fact that Teddy Larson's now has been through a season at center, our offensive line seems to be getting better as we progress through the spring. So, I think the strength would be that we're in the third year of a program. We have the same coaching staff that we've had for 3 years. We're teaching the same things. Our players now believe in what we're teaching. They accept those facts. There's not as much freelancing and questioning going on. And just like everybody else, still until you get through a cycle where you get 5 or 6 years and you get your player in there, we're always going to fight depth issues. And, certainly we can't have as many injuries this year as we've had our last 2 years. So hopefully we've turned that corner. The fact that we lost Nate and Alton definitely could be the third year in a row we've lost, one of our top players for a season. But, our kids have harbored that fact, and they understand that he may not be there and that somebody else is going to have to pick up the load and play better. So I think we're much better physically and mentally prepared to accept what's in front of us, and we look forward to being a much more competitive football team this year.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Cutcliffe, you take it next.
Well, I'd say it's obvious that the 3 of our weaknesses I'm sitting with. We have to play Carolina, NC Central, and NC State. So that's tough for us, having to play all 3 local rivals. But our team is certainly a faster football team. And that's one of the things that we felt like we had to address quickly. And we've done that from a conditioning level, but we've also done that in recruiting. It's very obvious this spring. It started looking like football. I didn't have to apply to the NCAA for extra days this year because most of the 15 days did look like football indeed. Again, what Tom mentioned, for the first time in over 20 years, we have the same football staff in back-to-back years at Duke. And that's extremely important to our success. Our quarterback is a strength. Thad Lewis, for the first time in his career, is in the same offense 2 seasons in a row, and that showed this spring. Great opportunity for him. The strength level of our team, again, some skilled players, getting Raekwon Boyd back at running back. He had a tremendous spring. He can be a difference maker, and our young speed at wide receiver. Defensively, Vinny Ray, Vince Ogabasi, Ayanga Pakawarik, strength up front. We have some physical people up front, so I'm excited about that we can be faster, but yet we will be a much more physical football team than we've been. And that's where when we're going against these guys, they look a little different than us, and we're starting to close that gap.
Well, I know you talked last year about getting the Wallace Wade Stadium to the point where it would be full. Your attendance went from 20,000 to 28,000. You increased it by 8,000, obviously. It looks like it could be increased even more so with your team this year.
I think we'll have, as you can see the display of our great Duke fans. I was going to say that one of our great strengths is our fans who have endured a lot of difficult times and times with Duke football. And you can just sense the energy and the enthusiasm. And I think we may have a chance to sell out a number of games, if not all of our home games this year. It should be really exciting.
Great, Coach.
Well, unlike some of these guys, we did have some turnover on our coaching staff, and we never really like to do that, but I think that we've added 3 really talented coaches to our staff. We lose significant amount of playmakers on our offensive side of the football. That's the biggest concern during spring practice. It'll probably certainly be the biggest concern that we face during training camp. We lose not only our 3 starting wide receivers that got drafted, but we lose 2 others that were seniors last year that that played as backups and played a pretty significant role not only in the receiving group but as special teams guys. We lose our tight end, so we've got 6 starters on offense that we've got to replace. We lose 2 of the 3 kickers that we had last year. Our kickoff man and our punter are both no longer there, and so we've got to break in 2 new kickers from that standpoint. Like Mo said, probably the right side of our football team is the fact that we do return 9 starters defensively. We lose Mark Pascal, our middle linebacker, and Tremaine Goddard, a safety, that were great inspirational leaders. They were highly productive. They've been starting for 3 or 4 years in their career. So we lose a little bit of, certainly from an experience standpoint. We hope that we can replace those 2 guys with 2 young men that we think have got some good talent. They're certainly not going to have the experience and the savvy that the 2 guys that have left have gone. We've got a little bit more depth in the front 7 on defense than we've had in the past. I mean, it's as Tom alluded to and David alluded to, that when you're first starting building your program, you never really like the idea of the fact that your depth is either provided by walk-ons or incoming freshmen. It's a huge responsibility to ask an 18, 19-year-old incoming freshman kid to assume the responsibility, and hopefully, at least in the front 7, we're in a situation where that's not necessarily the case. Unfortunately, on the offensive side, it's still a little bit of the case that we're going to have to count on some young kids in the offensive line, and certainly a lot of young kids at the wide receiver position to come in and to play. And it's going to put a real premium on us as coaches during August to try to bring those kids along fast enough to be ready to play a very challenging schedule.
Thank you.